Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV. And hello to our friends who are listening on Business Talk Radio. I am Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Listening Mentor. This show is all about highlighting my team of elevated listeners, people with whom you should get to know and do business immediately. They will give you a safe space to be heard, and they are listening authentically. They're listening without judging. They're listening without trying to come up with a solution. They're listening without interruption. Let us welcome our elevated listener today, Mr. Roland Friedl. Hi, Roland.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN. How are you doing?
Hi, it's so good to see you. And for folks who are just joining us for the first time, Roland is also a co-host on the Mallorca Connection, and he is one of our expert presenters on Talking Heads. So, Roland, you really are the trifecta here at USA Global TV.
Yeah, because, it's an amazing platform, and thank you so much for giving all the speakers and these experts this amazing opportunity on this platform to share or respond to people who want to learn and want to improve their performance, their education, whatever. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And also, Roland is on the beautiful island of Mallorca. And Roland, I'm going to spotlight you before we get into our discussion today. And I'd love for you to share with our audience, people who are joining for the first time, what is it that you do and how is listening and listening skills an important part of it?
Yeah. Well, besides living on this beautiful island, enjoying the beaches and the sun and all the positive stuff, I'm originally Austrian, and I made up my career in business and an employee in companies in sales and in management. I had a very fast career as the youngest member of board of director in a huge company. Then I quit the corporate world in my early years and started to found my own companies in different areas. And besides that, I started my coaching, my training company that came more and more of a full-time event, because more and more international companies came to me and asked me for helping them out, helping the organization, helping the leaders. So I dedicated my life the last almost 3 decades to help organizations and the leaders not only to improve their performance, making more sales, better coverage, more returns, but also to help these leaders to have a more happy, fulfilled, purposeful life. So when they came home from the job, to their beloved ones, to their kids, their families, that they're really fully energized and fully being present and having at least, maybe not a quantity, but a quality time with the beloved one. That's what absolutely drives me. And on the other hand, I support people who want to have the same lifestyle than myself, a more wireless lifestyle, a more independent lifestyle, meaning working from the most beautiful spots in the world, living in the most beautiful spots in the world, being totally independent. And I also care a lot about men. So I'm also the founder of Sparring for Men. It's a men's group where we meet online and share our thoughts about being a man, our role as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a colleague, whatever. That's what I'm doing. And to answer your question about listening, in all aspects, listening is so, so important. Just one quote. If you talk, you just repeat what you already know. But if you listen, you'll learn something new.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And you really are doing so many wonderful things to help people, especially men. So thank you. And I hope you continue doing that on your journey.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Roland, as you know, our show is The Listening Mentor. You went through the courses. You got certification, and you are now an elevated listener. And I think for folks who are not aware of what an elevated listener is, it's someone, as I described in the beginning, who is fully present. And as you know from going through the training, that when someone is doing anything else but listening to what you're saying, they're not being a listener at an elevated level. Now, it's not possible to be fully present and listening all the time because we have to live our lives. But if someone comes to you, if I say to you, Roland, I really need to talk to you about something, it's really important, and you say, yes, I'm here for you, and then you're doing something else and get interrupted, then you're not really listening. So I know in your work that you do, you have to be fully present. So let's talk about listening skills for leadership, whether you're a business owner or you're a leader. Why is listening important, and how do you create a bond with your employees and your customers by having great listening skills?
Okay. That's a very good question, and this is why actually we, not just myself and my team, but all the trainers, consultants, have so much work outside, because there's so much communication lacks, and especially listening lacks in the leadership in the world. Not in general, not by all, but by many. But the listening in leadership is so crucial for team performance. As a leader, you only can perform, you only can receive your goal, reach your goals when you have a good team performance. You can't do it by yourself. You need a team. So, and for a good team performance, it's so critical to be a good listener. First of all, listening increases your capacity as a leader. So we can always learn from the people around us, including our direct reports, the people that report to us as leader. So effective listening gives you the knowledge and perspectives that increases your leadership capacity. So, okay, it increases your leadership capacity. Secondly, leadership shows your teams that you really, really care. So really listening to someone shows you care about what they are saying, and empathize also with their feelings. So listening shows that you care. That's very important. It's very trust building. Listening also helps you as a leader to comprehend the situation. So if you fail to pay due attention to what your employee says, you will not fully understand the situation, because maybe they're more bottom down, maybe they're more involved with clients or with competitors or whatever. So really listen to comprehend the situation. So this means that listening helps you to have a better understanding about your business in general, and also gives you a clear vision of the reality on the ground. That's why it's so important.
Fantastic. Thank you. And, I spent my corporate career helping CEOs and senior level executives understand that a culture of engagement where people feel that they are respected and heard and appreciated is what really can take a business to the next level. And if people don't feel like they're heard and they're appreciated, they leave. So I think there's still business owners and leaders out there who don't really think that it's that important, that you have this ability for people all throughout the organization to speak and be heard, that it's still some old school, I'm in charge, you're down here, talk to the person above you before you come to me. What are your thoughts about that now with the pandemic, that we really can reach out to everyone? Should there still be those levels that you have to go through in order to communicate with the person at the top?
Well, first of all, when leaders not listen, it's an ego problem. That's one point. Secondly, because you mentioned the pandemic, so I guess, 80% of the office people or 90% of the office people around the globe have been working remotely. They had home office, working from home. An interesting thing was that I was approached from many companies and saying, help us, our leaders, because the meetings, the online meetings, they're really a mess. They're really bad. It's not working. It's so frustrating. And my answer was in the beginning, because I listened to some of these online meetings. I could join as a silent listener, observer, and my feedback was at the beginning, said, you know what? It's not the pandemic. It's just a catalyst startup. because the meetings in general are not good. And when you lead it virtually, it's even worse, because you have less connection, you don't see the people, there's less interaction. It's more difficult to see all non-verbal communications and stuff like that. So it's so important to have a good communication, to be a good listener, especially when you work with somebody remotely. Because when you see somebody face to face, you see the full posture, the full body. You have the full body language. It's very difficult to read the body language when you do have a video conference or even on the phone. So listening even there is much more important. Much more important.
Absolutely. And I remember, this is kind of a crazy story, but I remember in my corporate career, I had a client and then staff, and the client would not speak directly to the staff members. They literally had to wait in line to speak to this person's assistant, even though the client was right there and the assistant was there and the staff. So they actually had to speak. And I thought to myself, that is a great thing to do if you want to create friction and if you want to have chaos and a lot of anxiety. So when somebody puts a brick wall like that up between you and them, they're basically saying, what? I don't care about you. I don't respect you. And I feel like that's what we do when we don't actually listen to people. We create this invisible wall that causes all kinds of upheaval.
Yeah. And it's absolutely disrespectful, I mean, when somebody speaks to me, first of all, somebody speaks to me means the person has the allowance to speak to me. So this person made sure that you have my full attention. I guess what was also important is not only to be a good listener, but also when you talk to somebody, first of all, make sure that the other person is really aware of you and he really pays attention before you start talking. That's also very important.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely, but I really want to really emphasize it on listening. Why it's so important. I did some research, actual data, and I found out that 85% of everything we learned through our life is through listening. The rest is through experiencing and trying it out. So 85% you learn from listening. That's what I said in my quote in the beginning. If you talk, you just repeat what you already know. If you listen, you learn something new. So humans generally listen to at a 25% comprehensive rate. And in a typical business space, so for the leaders in a typical business space, we spend only 45% of our time in listening, 30% of our time on talking, 16% of reading, and 9% of writing. So listening is so important. But, and that's the message for you guys. I'll say less, this is the newest figures and studies, less than 2% of all professionals have had formal education or learning to understand and improve their listening skills and techniques.
Wow.
Less than 2% of education on that.
That's you know what? You are just music to my ears, because as you know, I teach listening courses, and I know I have a master's degree and a doctorate. I never learned how to listen. There were no courses on listening when I was in school. So I think this is really important, because many people think they are actually listening, but they're not. And if there were to be a quiz on what a person said, they probably wouldn't do too well. So one thing I just want to also highlight and then have you comment on is, as I mentioned in the beginning, we can't always be listening 100%. So I like to, even on a telephone call, I like to ask for permission. Roland, is this a good time for me to speak with you? And I actually just did this with somebody the other day, and she said, no, it's actually not. You caught me in the middle of something. And I said, oh, and I actually was happy she told me that, because had I just gone on and blithering on it, she's not listening to me, and then I'm going to be feeling frustrated or not heard.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I said. You need the full attention before you start talking, because otherwise the message you want to send won't be received by the receiver. And what I know from education is, it is much more important than the other person is understanding or receiving than you are sending. So the most important thing is, what is the other person receiving? Yeah, and if you don't have full attention, there is receiving maybe the wrong message or just nothing. Ignore it. So it's very important. It's important to have the full attention and always ask him, is it okay for you right now? Can I have your full attention when it's important before you start talking?
And if the person replies that this isn't a good time, then the next thing I suggest is ask them when would be a good time. How can we schedule a time? Now, Roland, what about in the heat of the day? Something happens at work and you're in a panic state and you must speak to somebody at your organization, and they tell you they're not available. So, for example, I work for you, I get you on the phone, and I ask if this is a good time, and you say it's actually not. And I say, but I have to talk to you. It's urgent. I need to speak to you right now. And you're in the middle of doing something else. How do you handle that situation with an employee that's escalating, right? It's getting more and more.
Okay, but first of all, we have to understand that every most individual believes he's the middle of the world. He's the most important thing. Secondly, when we have a problem, when we have a problem, it's the worst problem and the most important problem in the world. Okay, so it's always very urgent. So for these people, it's very frustrating if they don't find anyone who pays attention and listens. It's very frustrating for these persons. What helps them, and there's always given advice for somebody, if there is something urgent and somebody needs your attention, but you can't pay attention for any reason, tell the other person. That's very important. Tell the other person, you don't have time, but I will come back to you in 10 minutes, in an hour, or in a week, or whatever it is. So what helps the other person is to know there is somebody who will listen to me, not now, but there is help coming, I don't know, in 10 minutes, in an hour, or in 2 hours. That's very important. I remember this, I trained this years ago for a company repairing heating systems. Well, I'm coming from a country, beautiful Austria, is beautiful, small, but very cold in winter. And can you imagine when you are staying home with your kids, with family, small kids, and your heating system is not working? That's an urgent situation. But sometimes there is a lot of work because a lot of heating systems are not working. So when you call the company, they won't come within an hour or 2 hours. Maybe they come in the evening. Maybe they come the next day or in 2 days. And this that drives people really crazy. And what I was teaching and training to this company staff, the service agents, was saying, okay, I know you can't help them right now because you're fully booked, but let them know, first of all, yes, I listen to you, I hear you, I know that you're in trouble, I know that you're freezing, but please, we are fully occupied, but I will make sure that somebody's coming. Not in an hour, not today, but tomorrow at 9 or 10 o'clock. So this helps another person who is really in need of help, in need of listening. Tell them when exactly, and then it really decreases their frustration. Helps.
Such a good point, and I want to elaborate a little bit on that. In that, business owners need to understand, the person answering the phone, the call center agent, that's the face of the brand to the client, to the customer. And if these people aren't listening, if they're not trained in how to listen, that could turn somebody off so that they're not going to do business. And I'll give an example. We have the paper, the actual newspaper delivered, and has been delivered for 4 days. So every day I'm calling this particular company and can't get anybody on the phone. Press 1. I'm like, representative. I give you press 0, and nobody's answering. Well, finally got somebody on today. And I thought, if this person, because I'm starting to now freak out, right? If this person isn't listening, we're going to cancel the paper and not get it. Doesn't matter that we love the paper, but this company they're not delivering the paper. You can't even get through to someone. So I was ready to bear, right? And this person answered and diffused the situation right away. I'm really sorry that you're having this issue. We're going to take care of it. I want you to know I'm here for you. And I thought, yes, that's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, there is a nice technique when somebody is really in an urgent situation, you can help. So I don't know if you ever saw that movie. I guess it was George Clooney, Up in the Air.
Yes, I've seen that so many times.
Yeah, where he was hired to fire people from other companies, and he had the same technique. Yeah, first of all, he just came in and then telling the truth what it is. Okay, we fire you, just clear. Like, I'm sorry, we can't come right now because we are all totally booked. Yeah, first. Then he showed empathy. I said, I understand this. You have a family, you have a mortgage to pay. So empathy, total empathy. Then he closed the emotional part, and then he came with suggestions. So he came back with the rational part. So he started with the rational part, had a set in the sandwich that he was handling the emotional part, and then he closed again with the rational part. And this is the same when somebody really wants to listen or wants you to listen, and there's attention because it's an urgent stuff. Okay, tell him it is like it is. I don't have time for any reason, but I understand it's urgent. Yeah, I understand this, but I will come back to you in an hour or whatever. Yeah,
so true.
Helps.
And I think to your point about that movie, when they were replacing Clooney in his role, and they were replacing him and the other people who did it with technology. And so you were now going to be fired across the screen, right, from somebody sitting in an office. And it shows you how people feel when there's no personal interaction. Yeah. And I think that really says a lot for companies that are only using automated attendance or any of the technologies to route people anywhere they can, except to talk to a person. Even, have you gone to our website and put in customer service, all the different, but people want to talk to someone because they want somebody to listen to them and to feel that they're heard.
Same to me. To be honest, it drives me crazy when I have a problem with a product or something else, and I pick up the phone and I call them, and there's a machine. If you want this, press 1. If you want this, press 2. And then if you want this, press 2. I hate this. Also, I hate chatting. Well, I don't want to do any promotion around it, but that's why I love Amazon. Because when I have a problem, I always said, call me back. And they call back
right away.
Yeah, right away. And then they're good trained. Sometimes in the German-speaking mind, they don't speak German properly, but they're based somewhere, it doesn't matter, but always very trained, very friendly, listen carefully. What listening carefully also means they repeat your problem, understand you, they repeat, so they make sure they really got your problem. And this is customer service. This is absolute customer service. And that's the success of them.
They figured it out. And by the way, they'll take your stuff back, or if you didn't get it, they'll give you a credit. It's not like we have to track it over here. We'll get back to you in 2 weeks. They've really figured it out. So I just want people who are out there who have call centers, or people who have clients or customers, people want that one-on-one interaction. And when you listen to them, you could be creating a lifelong customer, just like what Amazon's doing.
Absolutely, because everyone can sell something, and it can always go something wrong. We're only human beings. There can always be a mistake. But what a customer really values is how do you handle it? How fast do you respond? Do you actually listen? Do you have empathy? Do you have an understanding for the client? And then you come over with a solution. This is what customer wants.
Absolutely. Roland, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be back. And for any of you who are out there who are watching us on the live, I know most people watch us on the replay, but if you are watching on the live and you have any questions for Roland, we're going to come back and talk about listening in a wireless world, because Roland has a lot of expertise, wireless life, life on the road, working in an RV, working on a beach, right? There's so many different scenarios. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back. And right now we're going to take a look at one of our team members, Diane Floyd-Bain. We're going to watch her clip on A Song of Peace, which is, I have to say now, one of her new books, because there's so many and more to come. Let's take a look and we'll be right back.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diane Floyd-Bain's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy, whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan,
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at dianefloydbame.com.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Opera. I always missed my dogs. That's the real story behind it. I always traveled around, and of course, on the spots where I spent most of the time, always had my dog with me. But sometimes I go to Asia or some other spots for a few weeks to work from there. I didn't bring my dogs, so I always missed them. And I guess it was 2000. Well, quite sure, 2017, yeah, when I was in Bali, 2017 in Bali. I missed my dog so much. And I will never forget, I was in Canggu, I was Googling in the villa on the pool. You always wireless life, you have internet, you just sit there with your tablet, and I was Googling and I said, I'm going to buy an RV. So I was Googling an RV in Bali. So when I came back home, I ordered it. And the reason for that is, okay, I traveled so much in the world. I worked for international companies, actually, except Australia and every continent in the world, or every places in the world. But to be honest, I didn't travel so much in Europe. I mean, I'm European, you always go to Asia, you go to the US, you go to South America, you go to Africa, but who knows their own country? So I decided, first of all, to explore more Europe, and also I can bring my dog, or maybe there's 2 dogs, my dogs with me, and travel around and work from there. So I did this every year, 4 months, and now it's time for the next step. I will move in April, actually, I will move into my RV with my dogs full time. And I'm not quite sure, because the plan is not to have a plan. I don't know if it's for a year or 1.5 years. No idea. But I will travel in Europe, see my clients in person or work remotely from my RV, and also do the show from my RV, of course.
That's fantastic. So everybody out there listening, Roland is hitting the road in his RV, taking his dogs and his green screen, and he can work with you basically anywhere. Now, of course, if they're in the United States, you can work with them. If they are somewhere where you can actually physically drive to see them, you can do that as well.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I love this lifestyle. I love it. And actually, it became more and more modern to many people. But wireless doesn't mean that you travel the whole world. It doesn't mean that you live in an RV. Just wireless means maybe you don't go to the office, you sit in your own garden, on your own terrace, on your own balcony, and you work from there and try it from there. Whatever it is. I know a guy who built up a tremendous business with thousands of people, and he worked the first 2 or 3 years, 2.5 years, at a Starbucks cafe around the corner. I was always sitting there working, and he was talking to other people and said, "Are you also making money here?" And they said, "No, we are spending money for coffee." I said, "I spend money for coffee." "But I'm making money here." And he built up a tremendous business, really, just in Starbucks, because he loves Starbucks. Sorry for the commercial, but I don't have shares there. But that's how he started the business.
Well, you know what I love, Roland, and this really pertains to listening as well. You light up when you're talking about your life on the road and working wirelessly. How do you think that finding your passion and doing what it is you love to do impacts being a good listener?
You have to listen to yourself. You have to listen to yourself. What you want to, I would say, to listen to your inner child. What really drives you, what's your dreams. And to be honest, guys, whoever's listening now, I mean, nobody came to the world, to this earth, to this planet. Nobody with 2, 3, or 4 years said he wants to be an accountant, who wants to do this, who wants to do that. We want to be a cowboy, an Indiana, and a princess, or whatever. Yeah, some really crazy stuff. But then we go to school, we go to university, we start working, maybe we get a family, married, kid, and then we're in this treadmill. And then we forget our dreams. Yeah. And most people realize that, but stuck in this treadmill with a lot of excuses. Yeah, I can't do it because I can't do it this. I can't do it this. And I always say, your excuses should be the reason why you do it. Don't say, I'm sorry, because of my kids I can't do it. Say, no, because I have kids, I will travel. I will show them the world because I do. And this is what's happening. Listen to your inner child, listen to your dreams. And then sit down, write down your goals, make an action plan, and just do it. You have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing. You can only win.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I love how you talked about, whatever age you didn't decide you want to be an accountant, there are dreams that you had. I always wanted to be, are you ready? A lounge singer. Lounge singer. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Fabulous Baker Boys with Michelle Pfeiffer, I think it was. And she's wearing this beautiful dress. It's like sequins and it's slid up on the side and she's lying across the piano. And that's what I always wanted to do. And I have to say, as a result of doing this platform, I met Madeline Chan, who's actually my co-host for this show, but I think she's auditioning for something today. And she's given me voice lessons. So it actually comes full circle that I'm not singing in a lounge. Not yet. Maybe I'll just have a lounge on the show. I don't know. But you can find your passion later in life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It keeps me. I have a kind of similar story. I remember when I went to school. I went to special school or a business school before university. So I was educated in business, and I had no broad knowledge about literature, history, stuff like that. And I really missed this. And I had a teacher in German language who really gave me some hints and say, you have to read this book and this book. And you know what? I decided to start my business career, my business learning. And I went into my first studies in the university was German philology and history, just to get a broader knowledge about the world. And then I said, I become a teacher. But during my studies, I started with my own enterprises, and I made a hell of money. I said, how can I make the same living? How can I have this effort, the same lifestyle when I'm a teacher? Because they don't pay much in Austria. So I started again. But I always wanted to become a teacher. But the problem was the salary doesn't help my lifestyle, because I was making money with different businesses. But now I'm back to it since 25, over 30 years as a trainer. And I see myself as a trainer also, like as a teacher. So you make a circle and it comes back. As you say, you want to become a singer, and now you're taking singing lessons because you listen to your inner child.
Yes. And I think that when you listen to your inner child and what I call being in your lane, doing what it is that you're passionate about, I think that I don't know, have any research on it. I'm going to look into it. I think that you're more likely to be an effective listener because you're already happy listening to yourself. When your own life is filled with strife and drama, it's hard for you to be an effective listener for somebody else because you're still tormented inside yourself and in your own life. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good point. I was researching that. For myself and my own experience, because you know what, if you don't listen yourself, you don't know yourself, you don't know your dark sides, you don't know your good sides, so you're wearing a mask. Yeah, you're wearing a mask because you don't know yourself. You never face your dark sides. You never facing this. You're developing yourself. Yeah, so you're wearing a mask, and when you're wearing a mask, you can't be present. You can't listen to somebody else because you're always so scared that your mask is moving and somebody sees your real face. And you always say, do I really look good? What does she think? Or you have always, this you always need this external feedback. Do I look good? What do you think? You're so how to say, you're so focused on yourself shining good. Yeah. So it's impossible to be present and listen to somebody else or see somebody else. That's what happens in the world.
Yes.
That's the reason for it.
So true. As we're coming to the end of our show, one thing I also wanted to mention is listening without judgment. What do we mean here? So while the other person's speaking, you're thinking something about what they're saying that you don't disagree, or maybe you do agree, but you've already checked out, because instead of actually focusing on what Roland's saying, I'm thinking about something else, about how whatever Roland's presenting, how I feel about it. And as soon as I put myself into the equation, I'm no longer there for you. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, not judging it, but it's very difficult, to be honest. I mean, it depending on your mood and depending on what situation with whom you're. If you dislike somebody, you fall easier in this trap to judge than somebody you love. That's somewhat difficult. Yeah, but it's very important. To be honest, I don't know the book in English. I read it in German by Marshall B. Rosenberg. Conflict-free communication, something like that. And they say conflicts are coming because we're not observing a situation, we are judging a situation. And when you're judging somebody, of course, the other person gets offensive. But when we're observing it, I give you an example. One of my sons always, when on the weekend or on Fridays or Thursday nights, when he's going out with meeting friends or something like that, we always had an agreement he has to be at home at midnight, 12 o'clock. And sometimes he didn't show up at 12. He came at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep because I was scared that something happened. Maybe he was driving with a friend at the trunk at an accident or something like that. So it was not about having a party, because when I was a youngster, I was partying like crazy, so I have a full understanding. But one of my values, that is safety, that my son is safety, was hurt. So the point is, when most parents do, when the sons came home the next day, they say, "You're always so late. You're always so late." This generation is this judging. But when you just observe and say, "Hey, my good friend, on this day you have been late. On this day, here you were on time. On this day," so you're just observing. These are the facts. Then you can have a proper conversation. But when you're judging the other person, it always becomes emotional. And when it's emotional, mostly when it's a negative emotion, when you get in a red heat, conversation is not working anymore, because you cannot bring any rational arguments. A person who is emotionally hot in the red zone is not open for any rational argument. So communication is not working.
I love that you brought that up. And I think on the reverse side, when you're the one who's listening, if you come to me, you have something to share with me, and I'm in a bad mood, or I'm going through anxiety, or I've got deadlines, I can't possibly give you what you need at that moment, because I'm already worked up myself. So on either side, whether you are the person who's asking to be listened to, or you are the person who is listening, emotion and mood do have a lot to do with how effective your listening skills are going to be.
Absolutely. And obviously, I'm not a superhero, so I've also days and hours and moments where I'm in a bad mood for any reason.
Not you, Roland. Come on.
No. I'm a human being. Ask my love, she will tell you. But so I mean, there are times I'm a better listener than I'm a worse listener. Yeah, this is normal. This is we are human beings, but I think the most important difference is we have to be aware of it, and then we can work on it.
Absolutely.
That's the point.
Yes. And I think what I want our audience to take away is that here at USA Global TV, our team of elevated listeners cannot be listening at an elevated listening level all the time, but they'll let you know when they have the time, when they have the emotions under control, when they can give you what you need. And that's what we're hoping that you'll take away from the show, is that if somebody wants you to listen to them, have your own boundaries about when you're able to fully be present. And then when you commit to that, actually show up and give them your attention and focus. Don't be looking at your phone or watching a television behind them. Just be present, because then the person will feel heard. And I think you'll see that a lot of this strife and turmoil that we have with each other, it dissipates, it goes away, because we feel like we've been heard.
Absolutely. And it's so important. And I did many years, I did sales trainings in the past, and when this mobile phone came out, and everybody was on the phone in the car, and the salesperson said, "Yeah, I used the hours in driving my car calling my clients." And I said, "Do you think it's a good idea?" Yeah, because I can use the time. I said, "Yeah, but how can you be fully present with your client when you're driving the car? How can this work?" Yeah, that's not working. That's not working.
You're a visionary, because you saw that long before all these mandates about, you can't text and drive, you can't talk, and you can't, it has to be hands-free.
Yeah, I mean, you can drive safely when you talk, but then you're not listening.
Yeah, exactly. You can only do one thing effectively at a time. So good point, Roland. All right, I'm going to spotlight you to give your contact information, and also, who would you like to reach out to you?
Yes, my contact, best to go to my website. It's my name, rolandfriedl.com. I will spell it for you. It's ROLANDFRIEDL.com. And this is my over website, and from there you can link when you're leading an organization, when you're running a company, when you're running a team, then you can link to an organizational part. You will come to my professional website for Sparta Performance Systems. When you're interested in the topic we had a little bit today about a wireless life, meaning that you think about getting out of this treadmill and doing something differently, following your heart, following your inner child, whatever you want to do, then you can link from this links into Wireless Life Rocks. And if you're a man and want to become a better version of yourself, and really, when you're really brave and have balls, and want to talk about your emotions, your anxieties, and share this with other men, or learn from other men to become a better version, then you will link to Sparring for Men. So whatever attracts you, running a successful organization, becoming a good leader of your teams, when you become a better version as a man, or when you just live the life you want to live, wireless life, contact me. I'm very happy to get in contact with you and just get to know about you. I'm very curious about persons contacting me. Hey, what's your background? What drives you? I love to listen to person. I love to listen to their stories. I learn from them too. And when we come together and when there's trust, well, let's work together. I would love to share my experience with you.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to having you back on the show. And for folks who are just joining us now, Roland is a co-host, a talking head, and an elevated listener here at USA Global TV. You can learn more about him by going to our website, which is usaglobaltv.com, or go to Roland's website, which is rolandfriedl.com. Roland and I do a show together every Thursday, which is the Mallorca Connection. And you can see us there at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 8 p.m. Central European Time. And then the show that follows is the Talking Head show, where Roland is also featured. All right. Thank you again,
But it's a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday.
I'm sorry. What did I say? Wednesday? Sorry.
Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. Yeah. I thank you too. Thank you so much for having me here. All the best and see you soon.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone, we are off to do the business talk show with Mr. Al Cini, and we look forward to seeing you there. Please do, again, reach out to Roland. If you would like to be an elevated listener and be on our team, you can go over to my website, which is drjacalyn.com, book your session, and you can sign up for the Power of Listening foundational courses. When you pass parts 1 and 2, and which is demonstrated by 100% on the quiz, you can become an elevated listener and be on part of our team as well. That team is the Elevated Listening Team. All right. Thank you again. Look forward to seeing you in just a few minutes on the Business Talk Show. Bye.